Welcome to day 29 of the Ability event. My name is Skylar Gerland. I'm a second-year student in the Rehabilitation Counseling Education program at St. Cloud State University. To give a brief audio description of myself, I am a Caucasian female, pronouns she, her, and hers. I'm wearing a black long sleeve shirt today, and I have blonde hair. Was using headphones, but I'm no longer doing that. Behind me is a wall, a white wall, and a TV and a dresser as I'm working remotely from home. So Dee and Natasha, could you also provide an audio description of yourselves?
Hi, sure. This is Dee Torgerson, Director of Vocational Rehabilitation Services for the state of Minnesota. And I am a Caucasian female in my mid-50s. I have short blonde hair with an asymmetrical haircut, and I'm wearing a bright blue blouse today. I am actually home on my deck on this lovely end of summer day. It was so beautiful out, so I have a little bit of greenery in my background. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Natasha Dirty. I am the Director of State Services for the Blind. I am a Caucasian female. I am wearing a black shirt and big honkin' black headphones. I have long blonde hair and I am in my mid-30s. I too am outside on our 3-season porch and it's getting a little steamy here, so my face might start glistening a little bit, but I am so happy to be here with you all.
Awesome, thank you guys so much. We'll move right into our questions for today. So our first question for you guys, and if you guys can both kind of take turns answering these questions, can you tell us a little about VRS and SSB services and what do they look like right now during COVID?
Great, thanks, Skylar. I think we'll start with VRS. So Vocational Rehabilitation Services, or VRS, is our short acronym for that. We are part of a larger agency, DEED, which is Department of Employment and Economic Development. SSB is our sister, our partner in that agency as well. And really, so VRS, we work with people with all disabilities, and our mission really is to empower Minnesotans with disabilities to achieve their goals for competitive integrated employment. So we actually have several programs within VRS. Our largest program is our Vocational Rehabilitation Services program, but we also have, and that's mostly federal funded. We also have some state initiatives and some state-funded grant programs. Extended employment services is part of that, independent living services, individual placement and supports, otherwise known as IPS. And we also support a grant for deaf and hard of hearing persons. So again, we serve all disabilities. Those with a primary vision disability are referred to SSB, and I'll let Natasha do a brief introduction summary of SSB.
Hi everyone, this is Natasha. So State Services for the Blind, as Dee mentioned, is pretty much the sister agency of VRS. We are two separate agencies, and I like to say we're same but different. We offer very similar things, but we do it a little bit different, and we have a different audience. We actually have two branches within SSB. We have the Communication Center, and then we have our Program Services. And under the Communication Center, we do Braille, audio transcription, e-text for Minnesotans who not only have a vision loss, but who may also have a print disability. They may have dyslexia, a learning disability, something that prevents them from holding a book or accessing print. We do things like transcribing K-12 textbooks into Braille. We can do menus for business owners for their restaurants. We can transcribe new employee orientation packets in whatever accessible format someone needs. We also have a radio reading service, which is pretty cool. We were the first in the country to ever create this radio reading service for the blind. And we do 24 hours a day, 7 days a week of broadcasts of, we have local newspapers, we have steamy romance novels, we have a little bit of everything we share on our radio reading service. And we actually stream that on the computer. We have an iOS and Android app. And you can also tell Alexa, hey Alexa, play Minnesota Radio Talking Book, and Alexa will go to town on pulling that up for you. Our other branch is our Program Services branch, and we have 3 programs under that provide services to blind, visually impaired, and deafblind Minnesotans. The first is our Senior Services program, and this is all about independent living for people who are no longer interested in work. It's making sure seniors are safe in their homes, that they can use their stove and use their microwave and clean their clothes and be able to connect and socialize with their family. And so that team supports that group. We have the Business Enterprises program, which is all about entrepreneurship of legally blind vendors. You actually may have seen our operators vending machine stands in state and federal buildings. I believe we actually have some at St. Cloud State University. We have operators who run those vending machines. And then finally, it's our Workforce Development Unit, which is the Vocational Rehabilitation program for blind, visually impaired, and deafblind Minnesotans. Very similar to Dee's program, only we serve people with vision loss, and they may have other disabilities as well.
Wonderful, great information. Thank you both. Our next question is, what are some innovative things that you are doing to increase successful employment outcomes for persons with disabilities?
And this is Tasha. I think that's my question. What I didn't mention in the first question is that all of our program services right now are completely virtual. We are not able to meet anyone in person yet. So we have had to get really creative with how do we help individuals get ready for work and go into work. So just some innovation highlights. First, we completely opened up our entire order of selection waiting list and took everyone off. And all of our categories are open and we can serve all eligible individuals. This is big because we know people are losing their jobs, or they are furloughed or laid off, or they're looking for a career move because of COVID or for whatever reason. So we were able to open up our wait list so we could serve everyone who's eligible. We have a pretty cool pre-employment transition services program, which is services to students who are in school who are 14 through 21. And we actually created a new program where we offered paid work-based learning experiences to students. And they would be peer educators or peer mentors, if you will. They engaged with other students to provide insight and training on a variety of topics. They trained on self-advocacy, college readiness, sight loss and resilience, as well as identity to help their peers grow and develop. And these were all virtual. It was really hard to find work experiences in a COVID world. We were able to do this 100% virtually, and they got paid. Our employment team has been connecting customers with community business experts who are in careers that our customers are interested in. And these meetings kind of help educate our customers on the specific career, but they're also building relationships with these businesses and employers. And in a non-COVID world, these would be in person, but we've been able to use technology to still have these meetings. We also do something cool where we look at, and I have air quotes, look at job sites and determine accommodations using phones and computers. So we've had employers do walk-arounds of job sites, and our employment and assistive technologists can actually scope out and say, maybe we should do some switching of this desk area to be more accessible, or have you tried this? So we're still able to do those accommodation setups virtually. We also do a lot of teaching and training on how do you work in a virtual world? How do you have an interview that's completely virtual? What are those nonverbal things that happen on a virtual interview or something that may be missing? So those are some pretty unique things with this new job world that's going on. Recently, VRS was part of this as well, but we had a partnership with United Health Group, and it was this internship partnership. And there were several positions that were created specific for people with disabilities. And it was a way to get them into the door. And if they successfully complete that internship, they would be moved to a permanent position that has the same pay and benefits that would be normally offered to anyone. So they would get a huge pay increase. SSB had 3 individuals with vision loss, I think just yesterday, got hired on into this internship program. Yeah, I think I'll turn it over to Dee for some of the things that they're doing.
Sure, thanks, Natasha. Yeah, innovative things. I mean, similar to what Natasha explained with SSB, we have been providing remote-only services since the middle of March. And so we've been able to adapt rather quickly to that, which has been nice. It of course, has provided some opportunities for connecting with, families and people who've had transportation and other challenges. It also certainly has its limitations, and we're hoping that soon we will be approved to be able to go out and provide services in person. Skylar, I just got a message, my internet's unstable, so if there's difficulties hearing me, just raise your hand or let me know. Hopefully it'll stable out here. The joys of technology. So some of the innovative work that we're focusing on within VRS, I want to kind of highlight 4 of the things that we've been working on. One of them is our business engagement networks. And really we have small groups of people meeting in different regions around the state. And the focus really is on bringing together VRS, SSB, our community rehabilitation providers, school to work coordinators, and some other key partners so that we can connect our qualified job seekers to businesses looking to hire talent. Certainly the people that we serve with disabilities are our primary customer, the primary person that we're serving, but business is also an essential customer that we also want to serve. When we're able to serve and support businesses by providing a pool of qualified candidates to meet their hiring needs, we're able to build trust and create relationships and build confidence among them, and really highlight all of the benefits that people with disabilities can bring to an employer. And we want to continue to really focus on building those relationships with businesses rather than just individual transactions. So that is ongoing work and very collaborative work. The other area is really around what Natasha talked about, as we call it pre-ETS, ETS, and it's pre-employment transition services. And so for the past few years, both VRS and SSB have been hard at work, really working to develop deeper connections with school districts across Minnesota to support students with disabilities and to connect them with different work-based learning opportunities. Now, we've had for a number of years, we've worked with students in transition, and we have counselors assigned to every high school location within the state and every transition program. But these pre-employment transition services were kind of a new line of services that came about from WIOA, Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. So those pre-ed services, as Natasha had talked about, really focus on 5 main areas: job exploration counseling, work-based learning, counseling on opportunities for enrollment in post-secondary education, workplace readiness training to develop social skills and independent living, and also self-advocacy skills. And those of us within VR, working in VR, we feel like sometimes we have those memorized and tattooed on our hand, especially some of our folks who've been leading and supporting this big work. So going into this next year, I mean, it's a little bit of a challenge. It was spring when students were all distance learning. And again, it's looking like many will be doing either a hybrid or some form of distance learning going into the fall here. And so making sure that we're still connected with students and families has been a bit of a challenge. But we've been able to make some strides in that, and we will continue to support students with disabilities and continue to help them prepare for work and look for work-based learning opportunities when they're ready to do that. The third area of innovation that we've been focusing on in the past few years in Minnesota VR is customized employment training. And so Minnesota VRS has developed a training that really prepares VR professionals to provide a model of support that helps to identify and discover the untapped talent, skills, and abilities with people with disabilities. And that's called customized employment. Part of the beginning process, we refer to it as a discovery process. And really the idea is to learn about the person, what their interests are, what their talents, what their hobbies are. And we want to engage directly with that person and also the people who know that person best, and work with them in an environment that is really most comfortable for them. So typically that's pretty intensive work that we do in person with people. Again, in an environment, could be in their home, could be at a park, wherever they feel most comfortable. But we've been able to adapt those services as well to do some of that virtually. So we're continuing that work, and we're continuing to train our staff and our providers across the state, including some of our school to work coordinators, which we're very excited about them being able to kind of help start that discovery process and start people early on the path towards customized employment. And finally, the fourth area for innovation for us is around Project Search. And some of you may have heard of this. It's an international program focused on embedding a school classroom directly into a business. And the focus is really on students with intellectual disabilities and helping them to prepare for employment and work skill development based on the needs of that particular business. So in Minnesota, Project Search has 9 sites across the state. Some of them include Medtronic, Mayo Hospitals, and other medical clinics, and also the state of Minnesota. So we've had great success. Again, it's very collaborative with the schools, the community provider, our VRS staff, and others involved in that process. And our employment rate, or rate of success for those students who participate in Project Search is almost 79% success rate, or those people end up getting hired on within those businesses after Project Search or a related business. So that's a little bit in VRS around innovation. Thanks.
Wonderful, great information about both VRS and SSB. With that, could you also share some challenges that maybe the programs are facing right now?
Yep, and I think I'm starting this question off. Yeah, there definitely are challenges. I mean, certainly like going into a school year, not really knowing what to expect and having all the students virtual. And right now our staff aren't able to be in those schools and seeing those students. I mean, that's just a challenge. It's a challenge. Some people prefer in-person meetings, but some people really need to have that in-person personal touch as well. And some people have difficulties with technology. They may not have access to internet or technologies, or it can be difficult for them to use. So all of those certainly are challenges and things that are on our mind going into this upcoming fall school year, and also just in general as we serve adults across the state. Budget and funding is always, there's always a concern around that. Certainly the state of Minnesota has a huge budget deficit right now. And how that's impacting us right now is really just with a statewide hiring freeze. And so that's been difficult, and that has impacted our capacity to be able to serve people. So we're trying to navigate those waters as well. Natasha had said that they have all categories of services open, and in VRS, we do not have all categories open. We still only have one of 4 categories open, and we've been in that status for several years now. The good news is in May, we were able to take everybody off of our category 2 waiting list, and then moving next week, I believe we're going to be able to take off the additional people who've gone into category 2 and category 3. So we're moving ahead slowly and cautiously as we can. Our focus is where can we save funds, where can we shift staffing needs in order to be able to have the biggest impact on the services that we provide directly to people. I think the other challenges, just some of the things that headed our way with WIOA, and again, challenges, some of it was a funding challenge. We had to dedicate 15% of our overall funds to pre-employment transition services, which is a good thing overall, but we didn't get any additional funding to do that. So of course our costs of business and staffing and services, everything went up, and we were flat funded and had to direct 15% towards those pre-employment transition services. So, that impacts our ability to sometimes serve other people as well. And I would say just an ongoing challenge that is always on my mind, and we're working hard to make some strides in this, is just being able to educate and support businesses as well. A lot of businesses don't know about us or the services we provide or the supports we can provide to an individual with disabilities, or some of the preconceived notions they may have about that. They don't always look to people with disabilities as a way to fill their hiring needs, and we know that is. So that is just constant ongoing work, and with the landscape and the people changing in business all the time, that just is, it's an ongoing challenge, I think, across the state, and to continue to do that work. We're looking again for other ways that we can reach out to businesses, especially now, and doing some remote services, and we've created some bite-sized snippets of learning for businesses that we're going to be rolling out widely across the state and publicizing that, hoping that will just help highlight, again, this very talented pool of individuals that we're working with. Natasha, over to you.
This is Natasha. So, okay, my list. Number 1 for us, I think right now, is the hiring freeze that Dee had mentioned. To put it in perspective, our workforce development unit, or our VR program, we have about 40 staff. We are down a pre-ETS counselor, a general caseload counselor, a rehabilitation counseling supervisor, 2 VR technicians, which are support staff, as well as a support person and the director of policy, which was actually my previous role. So there's a quite high percentage of vacancies right now as we try to serve our customers. And we are working on getting some hiring exceptions, but with a hiring freeze and pre-ET specifically, as Dee mentioned, we have 15% of our funds is really allocated towards that. And we can use that money to pay for staff salaries. When you're down 2 out of your 3 pre-employment transition service counselors, you're not spending your money. And if you don't spend your money, it's actually not a good thing. You don't want to save your money, you want to spend it. So we have to look creatively on how do we serve our students, how do we get our staff in so we can serve all of our customers. So the hiring freeze has been pretty tough. We do not know what this next biennium is going to bring with the budget deficit. We don't know. So we plan, we hope for the best, but we just plan for if there is cuts. What would that look like, and how do we make good financial decisions so that our customers don't feel it, our staff can continue working and supporting them, and that really we try to look at more of those administrative things we don't really need to spend money on. So we get creative there. Working virtually and not being able to be with the people we serve in person is very challenging, especially for individuals who have a vision loss or who are deafblind, where that in-person interaction is so critical. How do you train someone how to use a knife safely in the kitchen? How do you train someone to read Braille? How do you train someone on technology if they've never used it before? 100% virtually. It is very challenging. We have gotten creative with curbside drop-off of computers and iPads and magnifiers, but then we got to figure out how to walk them through setting it up, and then how do we train them completely virtually. It's been interesting. Fortunately, we have some pretty brilliant-minded staff who have figured out ways around this. We also have customers who are really reluctant to go out into the community. They may have lost their job, or they're ready to look for work, but they're scared. They don't want to be at risk, so they don't go out in the community. They don't look for work. They also believe that employers aren't hiring right now, and they want to wait until things start to maybe become more stable. And so we have a number of people just waiting. And we also have, for those people who are getting jobs, our staff can't go out to job coach. They're trying to do it virtually. Fortunately, we do have contractors we work with, and they are able to go out and job coach and be out in businesses, but our staff cannot. We do have, like I mentioned, the Business Enterprises program, which is really entrepreneurship opportunities for blind vending machine operators. All of those locations are in state and federal buildings, which are pretty much shut down. So their businesses, they're hardly getting any income. The vending machine locations that are in the prisons are doing okay, but there was a number of cases, COVID cases, so they were not able to enter those facilities to replenish their vending machine supplies for a long time. So they're losing money. Some have considered getting out of the business because what's this going to look like 12 months, 18 months down the road? Is it going to be sustainable for them? I guess just overall, we've tried to look for opportunity in all of this. The transportation piece has always been a barrier for the people we serve, having to use public transportation. Now that actually they don't have to, they get to work from home. They get more opportunity to not have to travel and figure out 4 buses and a train to get somewhere. That has been an opportunity for us, but there has been a lot of challenges as well.
Yeah, definitely some similarities in the challenges and difficulties that both agencies are experiencing. Our last question that we have for you is, describe your efforts around partnership with other agencies, advocacy groups, and others that support individuals with disabilities.
And this is Natasha. I'll kick us off. I just have to say, we do not do this alone. We rely heavily on the support and collaboration with our partners, our stakeholders, advocacy groups, nonprofits. I mean, VRS is a key partner for SSB, and we work very closely together. So SSB, we have 40 or so contractors that specialize in placement and adjustment to blindness training for people who are blind, visually impaired, and deafblind. And that's outside of all of the vendors that VRS uses, which we also use. And those contracted vendors are really able to help us keep our services going, because they are able to go out into the community. They are able to provide in-person training where at this point we're not able to yet. We are very fortunate. Many other states with their WIOA partners, they're in many different divisions and departments, and they don't work closely together. within the Department of Employment and Economic Development, we have 3 of our 4 core title programs all under one roof, virtual roof. So Title I is our WIOA adult and youth programs. Title II is our adult basic education programs, which are under the Department of Education, but we have a great partnership with them. Title III is Wagner-Pizer, which is really our career force locations that are providing services to people coming into the career force. And then Title IV is VRS and SSB. 3 of those 4 are all under the same department. So we're fortunate to be able to talk to one another, share resources, and connect. We have a really amazing partnership going on between VRS, SSB, and the Department of Human Services Disability Services Division. Last year, we entered into a memorandum of understanding for how we can work better together to help individuals with disabilities who are on waivers, home and community-based waivers. So for instance, there's a CADI waiver for individuals who may have a developmental disability who needs extra supports on the job. And in the past, our connection with DHS and county case managers may have been a little hiccupy. We may not have built the best connections. It may depend on who the case manager is or who the counselor is. This MOU is hoping to resolve that. And not even hoping, we will resolve that. We will be really one entity working together. And that is a invaluable partnership for us. And Dee had mentioned the customized employment program that VRS had started with the help of DHS, and SSB became a partner with that group, and that's been a great partnership as well. We're able to train our staff on customized employment. Nationally, it's being renowned as the Minnesota model for customized employment, and the team that put it together, SSB takes no credit, we just jumped on the wagon. The team that put that together was absolutely amazing and brilliant. And finally, we have 3 comprehensive adjustment to blindness training centers in Minnesota. I think we're the only state to have 3 adjustment to blindness training centers in the entire country. We have Duluth Lighthouse, Vision Loss Resources, and Blind Incorporated. We work really closely with them to develop innovative programming for our students who have vision loss, as well as for adults, to really help them build the skills to be out in the world of work, finding great jobs and getting advancement opportunities.
Thanks, Natasha. Dee, I see you're back. We'll let you respond once you're connected.
I am back. Yes, my internet was unstable, but I think I had to relocate and I'm reconnected. So thank you for your patience. I think from what I heard, Natasha covered all of our partnerships very well internally and also externally. They are all super important partnerships, and we, at VRS and SSB, we have, staff located in most of our career force locations. And so anyone needing services can go into any of those locations once they're open, or connect with career force on site, and also connect with one of our counselors that way as well. So we've been working hard internally as well as externally. And Natasha, I didn't hear if you had talked about the MOUs with DHS or MDE, if you covered that, but a little bit, yeah. So that has been some really big work and some big lifting on part of many of our staff within VRS. So we're working on a couple of very important memorandums of understanding, or MOU. One is with the Department of Human Services, and that one is really specifically around services to persons who are also receiving waivered or Medicaid funds and services through the counties. And really, we just want to work as closely as possible. We have a signed MOU, which is awesome. It's a requirement, and it was a little difficult kind of coming to agreement on some key pieces there. But we accomplished that within this past year, and we're moving forward with a very coordinated work plan. And we'll be doing training both from DHS and from VRS and SSB, out to the different county providers as well. And I mean, our overall goal is really to make those services for those individuals as seamless as possible and as simple as possible, because it can be very cumbersome trying to understand, you know, who do I go, you know, where do I go for the different services? Who's going to pay for this? Who's going to, you know, and we don't want to have to be getting into disagreements or slowing down a process while we're trying to figure that out. So I'm really excited about that work. It is going very well at this point, and excited to get that rolled out because it's going to make, I think, a big impact for those people receiving those services and who then also need to receive our services. The other MOU agreement, of course, we have is with Department of Education. And again, you know, we're just doing more collaborative work than we've ever done with the schools and school districts and Department of Education, both in pre-eds and just in serving students in general. I don't know if most people know, but with VRS, we actually have about 50% of the people that we serve are students in high school or transition services. So it's a big and important population that we serve, as well as the adults. And then I think just the last thing that popped up, it was earlier while Natasha was talking and I was explaining a little bit about our wait list. I just want to make sure that people know that, I mean, we're open for services and we will do what we can, even if we're limited remotely at this point. It's really important, even though we have a wait list, we're opening and we're serving, you know, people on the wait list as we're able to do that, and we will continue to do that. It's really important that people, even if you are not sure whether you would be placed in our first category of services, important that you apply for services, because when we go open up our wait list, which sometimes can be, you know, fairly quick, which is what happened with May and the recent people who were on category 2, were able to bring them off that wait list fairly quickly. When we do that, we have to, and this is by federal statute, we take people off that wait list according to the date that they applied for services. So I just want people to, you know, understand that and don't be deterred from applying for services. And then our pre-employment transition services, those are for potentially eligible students. So really anybody with a disability, there is no wait list for those services. We're able to move ahead and provide those services to students. So thanks.
Great information. Thank you both for providing some additional info about, you know, the collaborative partnership that both agencies do. So we did reserve some time for some Q&A, and we do have a question that came in. So I'll read that out to you guys, and then you can respond. So we have, hi Dee and Natasha, thank you for being here today. As a person with a disability, specifically cerebral palsy, and as the Director of Disability Resources at Hamline University, I have utilized your services on both sides, as a consumer and now as someone using you as a resource for students I work with. That being said, this is the 30th anniversary of the ADA. Where do you see or hope to see disability and employment in the next 30 years?
I could probably kick us off. This is Tasha. I have always said my hope would be that in 30 years, vocational rehabilitation doesn't need to exist, because really we're here to level the playing field and make sure people have opportunities. And for VR to not exist, that would mean that employers that are doing inclusive hiring practices, offering training, everything is universal design. There is no need for accommodations, because no accommodations would need to be needed. Everything is perfect, but we know that won't be the case in 30 years. So I really see VR taking a more active role in helping prompt the nation and prompt employers to be accessible, to really look at the value that all of the people we serve have to employment, to think of different ways of work environments, and I think COVID actually opened the eyes of people that work from home is possible, and that we have a whole host of people that this will open the doors for to get jobs. And I think that more funding is always going to be needed as we see a shift of people coming out of sub-minimum wage and into competitive integrated employment. Having funding to support that work across the country is going to be necessary, and really a lot of partnership and collaboration with employers, more so than ever in the next 30 years.
Yeah, ditto. Natasha, I think you answered that beautifully. You know, it's a 30th anniversary of the ADA, which is very important. And we also celebrated within VR and SSB the 100th anniversary of the National Vocational Rehabilitation Program. So both of those milestones this year that we're celebrating. And, you know, I really would just echo what Natasha says. We also have to continue to be kind of at the forefront and always thinking about innovation. As Natasha said, funding is always going to be a challenge. So we have to keep looking for opportunities and ways to do more with some the funding that we have. So we're always looking for opportunities to do that as well. And, you know, I think, I mean, 30 years from now, it's difficult to imagine what things might be like, but yet can you imagine a workforce that really is truly inclusive of everyone and certainly recognizes the abilities that people with disabilities can bring to that, and that they see them across the board as a valued member of their community and a valued worker within their community. That certainly would be a vision that we would like to see and will continue to strive for over the next 30 years.
Great, thank you. We did have another question come in, and this one says, D, how have you dealt with the challenges of meeting virtually? For example, many of our consumers do not have the technology or skills to meet via Zoom or Skype. We are all working from home at this point and using Google phone numbers to contact consumers. We find many of them won't respond because they don't recognize the phone numbers. Our referral numbers have dropped significantly, and counselors are struggling to get and find new referrals.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, no doubt that it is a challenge. It's a challenge and an opportunity, as we've described. But for some people, it certainly is a challenge, and we recognize that. We've just really worked hard to do a number of things, especially with our staff, in terms of making sure that they have the technology that they're able to use at home in order to serve people to the best of their ability. Making sure that they, you know, have business phone numbers to use for doing that. We have put in a request to our agency to kind of have an exception. At this point, we're not allowed to meet with people in person, but we have developed, and Natasha and I worked together on this, an entire safety plan of how we can do that safely in order to reach those people who we need to be in person with. So we're hoping to have some, get some approval on that, hopefully in the next few weeks here. But both Natasha and I have been advocating strongly for that as well, because we know there are people that we're not able to serve virtually. So a lot of our staff are, you know, they're, you know, connecting over the phone. We're still using snail mail, connecting through the mail system as you can with people, whatever we can do to reach out to folks, and doing the best that we can with what we have in the circumstances we're in right now.
Great, thank you, Dee. And Natasha, I didn't know if you wanted to speak on anything about the difficulty with getting referrals and whatnot.
This is Tasha. I mean, our referrals and our applications are down threefold. I mean, we did a comparison over the last 3 years and the trends, and when we would be at 20 to 25 a month, we were at 4 or 5 or 6, and they're still down quite a bit. We too had the challenge around when you're calling from an unknown number, people don't want to answer it. I mean, we're getting a lot of spam calls right now, and if people don't recognize the number, they don't answer. So we actually started putting in soft phones, and our IT department has been slowly rolling those out. But it's a software program that goes on your computer, and it actually acts like you're calling from your work phone number. So it's like you're sitting at your desk, but you don't have to be. So we've gotten creative with that. Not everyone can use Zoom. Not everyone can use Teams. A lot of phone calls, texting, emails, old school mail, like Dee was saying, we still mail stuff out. I kind of joked as we were doing our safety plan. I said maybe someone can stand outside a customer's kitchen window and do counseling through the window. They can sit outside, and then the person could be sitting in their home, and we could be safe and distant but still have that connection. I was only half joking because we were trying to figure out any way we can still meet with our customers face to face. And the program is, there was a follow up in the chat here. The program that IT put on, it's called Soft Phone. I don't know what the company is. I believe it's probably through VoIP, VoIP, which is like just a different phone system, but it's called a soft phone.
Thank you. And an additional question that we have here is, I work with students who need to access materials in alternative formats. Often publishers and resources are made available for free, but I have recently run into a few publishers who are requiring proof of purchase. I'm wondering if there is an official policy about providing materials to the blind for free. If you could just answer that to the best of your ability.
Sure, this is Tasha. So from our understanding that just like everyone else, most publishers do require proof of purchase of a textbook, for instance, before providing at no extra charge the material in an accessible format. So SFB has an agreement with Access Text to provide their e-text. And so to provide their e-text is that we get a proof of purchase, and then we can provide the e-text to one student. So you'd still have to buy the book, if you will, the textbook, and then at no charge, it can be transcribed. So there really is no free blind material as such. We do have the National Library Service, which is free of charge for people who are eligible to use it. And some material may be available on that for free. And it's very similar to Audible, where you can download your books and listen to them. NLS is very similar to that, and it is free. But textbooks most likely are not going to be available on there.
Great, thank you. We do have about 10 minutes left, so I don't know if any of our viewers do have additional questions. You can feel free to write in, and we do have some time that we could address those. So I will wait a few minutes to see if we do get any additional questions, or else we can wrap up. So. Okay. I'm seeing that we don't have any other questions, so I just want to say thank you so much to Dee and Natasha for taking time out of your day to share about VRS and SSB, and joining our Lunch and Learn today. We do really appreciate your time. So please, everyone that's watching today, thank you for joining. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow for our final session of the Ability event, the gala at 4:30. And we will have speakers from SCSU, President Wacker, Senator Tom Harkin, and Governor Walz, and many more. So thank you so much for tuning in today.
Thank you. Looking forward to that tomorrow. Thanks.
Thank you.